So, when you hear the word prosthesis, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a really long time, it was pretty simple. It meant replacing a missing limb. But today, we're in a completely different world. Modern prosthetics have become these absolutely remarkable pieces of technology that are totally blurring the lines between replacement, enhancement, and, what it even means to be human. I mean, just look at the running blades that Paralympic athletes use. Right away, they just completely challenge our old school ideas. This isn't just about getting back a basic function, like walking. This is about hitting peak performance. And that makes us ask a really, really interesting question. Is this a replacement or is it an enhancement? And honestly, it's not a simple answer. In fact, a lot of athletes who use these high-performance blades for their sport also have different, more conventional prosthetic legs just for their day-to-day lives. Each one is basically a specialized tool for a very specific job. So let's back up. What exactly is a prosthesis? Well, at its core, it's an artificial body part. But the key thing to get here is that they are not one size fits all. Not even close. Each one is custom-made, meticulously fitted to the individual, either with old-school plaster casts or now with super cool 3D laser modeling to make sure the fit is absolutely perfect. The real revolution, though, the thing that's a total game changer, is how these limbs are powered. We've taken this giant leap from simple mechanical devices that were, pretty basic, to something way more intuitive and advanced. You can really see the progress laid out on a timeline. We started in the simple mechanical past. Right now, we're in the myoelectric present, and we're right on the edge of a brain-controlled future. So let's break down where we are right now. Okay, so how do these myoelectric limbs actually work? It's kind of amazing how it translates your intention into actual movement. First, the user just thinks about moving their hand. That simple thought makes a specific muscle, maybe in their arm or shoulder, contract. Then, electrodes pick up that tiny electrical signal from the muscle, which powers little motors in the prosthetic hand. And boom, it moves. It's literally thought turned into movement. But what if you could skip that whole muscle signal step? What if you could control a robotic arm directly with your thoughts? This isn't science fiction anymore, you guys. This is the next major frontier in prosthetic research, the brain-computer interface. No, seriously, just stop and think about that for a second. What would that even be like, to move a complex artificial limb just by thinking about it? The exact same way you move your natural arm or leg. This is the goal that scientists are actively chasing right now. So what's happening is that researchers are figuring out how to translate electrical impulses directly from the brain into the signals that kick the motors in a prosthesis into gear. Now, it's still a super new and incredibly complex field, because scientists have to pinpoint exactly which parts of the brain to listen to, but the progress they're making is just astounding. But, control is only one piece of the puzzle. The next generation of prosthetics is facing two other huge challenges: giving the user a sense of touch, and maybe most importantly, making this incredible technology available to everyone who needs it. Think about it. Think about all the information your natural hand gives you. When you pick up an apple, you instantly know how much it weighs, its texture, if it's hard or soft. Current prostheses don't give you that feedback, but a team at the University of Chicago is working to change that. They're developing artificial fingers that can actually feel and send all that vital info, weight, texture, temperature, back to the brain. And all this futuristic tech brings us to a huge real-world problem, because it's all for nothing if people can't actually get their hands on it. And the number one issue here is cost. Let's just take a look at the situation in the UK as an example. A more advanced myoelectric arm can cost around £5,000, but the government contribution to that cost is often only about £1,000. That leaves the person with this massive £4,000 gap they have to cover on their own. And this chart just lays it all out, right? That financial gap means that a lot of people are forced to use older, less effective prostheses simply because the latest tech is just out of reach. But here's the cool part. Innovation isn't just happening in big, expensive labs. It's also happening in classrooms. Over in Scotland, a group of students saw this exact problem and decided to do something about it. They're using 3D printing to develop a high-quality prosthetic arm that they want to produce for just £1,000, which is the exact amount of the government's contribution. It's such a fantastic example of innovation being driven by the need for accessibility. Technology is absolutely incredible, but we can't forget the human side of all this. Because beyond the motors and the electrodes and the computers, prosthetics are about identity, they're about acceptance, and they're about seeing yourself reflected in the world around you. So let me tell you about Chloe Newman. She was born with one leg, and she's lived her whole life with a prosthesis. But it wasn't until she was 18 years old that she walked into a store and saw something that just completely changed everything for her. She saw a Barbie, the fashionista number 121, a doll that had a removable prosthetic leg. And her reaction was just so immediate and so powerful. Finally, she said, there was a doll that looked like me. For the very first time, she saw her own reality right there in a mainstream toy. But Chloe didn't stop there, not even close. She was so moved that she started asking for donations and began visiting hospitals. She has personally given out 430 of these dolls to kids who have recently had amputations. Her whole hope is that these dolls will help children accept their new reality and see their prosthetic limbs in a positive way. It's just such a powerful reminder that positive attention and representation, seeing yourself in media and toys, can make a profound difference in people's lives. Which really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? When our technology and even our toys truly reflect the diversity of everyone in our society, who do we all become?